The heart monitor's flat line screamed through the silence of the small apartment as paramedic Jake Martinez pressed his fingers against Sarah Chen's wrist one final time. Nothing. Her body lay motionless on the kitchen floor, her skin pale and cold to the touch. At 34 years old, the elementary school teacher had collapsed from a massive heart attack, her weak heart finally giving out after years of undiagnosed cardiac disease. Jake exchanged a solemn look with his partner, Emily, as they began to pack their equipment. Time of death, 3:47 p.m. But what happened next would challenge everything they thought they knew about life, death, and the unbreakable bonds between humans and their faithful companions. If this story moves you as much as it moved us, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to Pawsitive Tales for more incredible stories about the amazing connections between people and animals. Your support helps us bring these touching stories to light. Sarah had always been the kind of person who put others before herself. As a third-grade teacher at Riverside Elementary, she stayed late every day to help struggling students, organized weekend reading programs, and spent her own money on classroom supplies. Her small apartment was filled with thank you cards from parents and drawings from her students, but the most important presence in her life was Max, her 5-year-old golden retriever. Max had been her constant companion through her recent divorce, her father's battle with cancer, and the mounting stress that had unknowingly been taking a toll on her heart. The morning of that fateful Tuesday had started like any other. Sarah had gotten up early to prepare lessons, sharing her morning coffee with Max, who always sat patiently by her side, his warm brown eyes watching her every move. She had felt unusually tired lately, occasionally experiencing chest tightness that she attributed to work stress. The school year was particularly challenging, with budget cuts and increased class sizes, and Sarah had been working 16-hour days to ensure none of her students fell behind. Max seemed to sense her exhaustion, staying closer to her than usual, following her from room to room with an unusual intensity that she found both comforting and slightly concerning. That afternoon, Sarah had come home feeling dizzy and short of breath. She had attributed it to skipping lunch again, something she did far too often when caught up in her work. As she bent down to fill Max's water bowl, a crushing pain exploded across her chest, radiating down her left arm. The bowl clattered to the floor as she gasped, her vision blurring as she struggled to breathe. Max immediately rushed to her side, his tail no longer wagging, his ears pinned back in distress. Sarah tried to reach for her phone, but the pain was overwhelming, and darkness began to creep in around the edges of her vision. The last thing Sarah remembered was Max's warm nose pressed against her cheek as she collapsed to the cold kitchen tiles. Her neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, had heard Max's frantic barking and howling through the thin apartment walls. The elderly woman had never heard such desperate, heart-wrenching sounds from the usually calm dog. Something was terribly wrong. Mrs. Rodriguez had used her spare key to enter the apartment, finding Sarah unconscious on the floor with Max standing guard over her, his body trembling with anxiety. The paramedics arrived within minutes, but by then, Sarah's heart had stopped beating. For 23 agonizing minutes, Jake and Emily worked tirelessly to revive Sarah. They administered CPR, used the defibrillator multiple times, and injected her with epinephrine, but her heart remained stubbornly still. Throughout the entire ordeal, Max refused to leave Sarah's side, despite repeated attempts by Mrs. Rodriguez to coax him away. The dog seemed to understand the gravity of the situation, his eyes never leaving Sarah's face, his breathing shallow and rapid with distress. As the paramedics prepared to make the official pronouncement, Max did something that would be etched in their memories forever. The golden retriever, who had been sitting quietly beside Sarah's head, suddenly stood up and walked to her chest. With a gentleness that seemed almost human, He placed his front paws on her sternum and began to press down rhythmically, mimicking the chest compressions he had watched the paramedics perform. His movements were deliberate and purposeful, as if he understood exactly what needed to be done. Jake and Emily stared in amazement as Max continued his makeshift CPR, his warm breath creating small clouds of moisture in the cool air as he panted with effort. Then, something miraculous happened. As Max pressed down on Sarah's chest for what seemed like the 100th time, a heart monitor suddenly beeped. A single, weak heartbeat appeared on the screen, followed by another, then another. Jake quickly moved Max aside and resumed chest compressions, his hands working in perfect synchronization with the rhythm that Max had somehow established. Sarah's heart began to beat more steadily, and color slowly returned to her cheeks. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused and confused, but alive. The medical team later said they had never seen anything like it. Sarah's heart had been stopped for so long that brain damage should have been inevitable, yet she showed no signs of neurological impairment. The cardiologist who treated her at the hospital was baffled by her recovery, noting that patients who experience cardiac arrest for that duration rarely survive, let alone return to full consciousness with their faculties intact. But Sarah knew exactly what had saved her life, and it wasn't just the skill of the paramedics or the advanced medical equipment. Max had somehow known what to do when human medicine had failed. Whether it was instinct, divine intervention, or the profound bond between a woman and her dog, his actions had provided just enough stimulation to restart Sarah's heart. In the weeks that followed, as Sarah recovered from her heart surgery and learned to manage her condition, Max never left her side. He seemed to have appointed himself as her personal guardian, monitoring her breathing patterns, alerting her to take her medications, and providing the emotional support she needed to heal. The story of Sarah and Max spread throughout the medical community and beyond, challenging conventional understanding of animal intelligence and the healing power of unconditional love. Sarah returned to teaching 3 months later, with a new appreciation for life and a deeper understanding of the extraordinary bond she shared with her four-legged savior. Max continued to be her constant companion, but now he was something more. He was her hero, her guardian angel, and living proof that love truly can conquer death. If this incredible story of loyalty, love, and the unbreakable bond between Sarah and Max has touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and share it with others who might need to hear about the amazing power of unconditional love. Your comments about your own experiences with faithful companions mean the world to us, and subscribing to Pawsitive Tales helps us continue sharing these life-affirming stories. Sometimes, the greatest miracles come from the smallest acts of love, and Max's story reminds us that heroes come in all shapes and sizes, sometimes with 4 legs and a tail that never stops wagging.